gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 6th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, I'm going to start with the news of the day being the Miami Hurricanes slowly crawling their way back into relevance in college football after just 1 week. We talked before the season how they were invisible in the polls. The AP poll were not even mentioned. They were about number 40 in the coaches poll. But now, after a relatively solid performance against Miami of Ohio, they're getting a little bit more respect. New polls were released on, I guess, yesterday afternoon, and the Canes were, they were number 32 in the coaches poll and number 33 in the AP poll. And that tells you that people noticed what happened on opening night.
Well, the Miami Hurricanes beat Miami, Ohio, so of course they deserve to move up. Hello. The Hurricanes this year so far, they're sort of like this show. Some people are all in and they're like, oh, it's great. This is an amazing season. Other people are like, I can't listen to that Shodell guy for 5 minutes. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. Turd emoji.
Yes, I can't listen to 5 minutes.
So this game, I remember I was making fun of you when you said this was the most important game on the schedule. And now I'm starting to think maybe you're not wrong.
Texas A&M coming up I said that.
Yeah, you said that, and I said, you're nuts. I said, I'd much rather beat Florida State, or if you have to win one game, I'd put Texas A&M 4th or 5th on the list. It's a non-conference game early in the year. You want to be playing better later. We're not winning a national championship this year. But then you see Clemson getting, massacred, really, even though they had more yards and everything by Duke. Who knows? College football is so crazy. Maybe this will be one of those years where, and this is the they're having a ceremony for the 1983 national championship team at halftime. And, that team wasn't real good either, right? Nobody thought they were going to do anything. And they won a game late in the year by, I think, 1 point. They got lucky when another team missed a field goal and then had a pass bounce off somebody's shoulder pad in the end zone in the second last game of the year or something. I mean, I wasn't alive then. You were 72 years old at that time. But, why can't it happen again? Who knows? Anything can happen. But, and people say I'm negative because what I am is I'm a numbers guy. I'm rational. I'm a statistics guy. When I was a child, I still am a child. But when I was a younger child, I would literally just look at the back of sports cards, and I'd memorized every statistic on the back of sports cards from 1979 to 1980. I could still tell you Dave Kingman had 48 home runs in 1979. Mike Schmidt had 45. You name a player. Gorman on the Brewers had 38. You name a player, and I'll tell you his stats. I mean, that's what I did. I was always very interested in numbers. I was close to becoming a real. I took statistics in college. I was very close to really doing that. My grandfather was an accountant. He was very into numbers also. So I was always into numbers. So this is why there's a disconnect between fans, and I can be considered a fan when I'm not a journalist, right? And my job. My job is to look at numbers, to look at cold, hard facts, to look at past to the present, right? The players on this team, there's 41 new players, which means there's about 42, 43 players, because they're one short, I think, that are returning that weren't real good on last year's team, right? Last year's team wasn't good, period. So half the team wasn't good a year ago, basically, as part of a different team. And now they've added some new pieces. But again, who knows? Yesterday, people were saying how I'm so negative on the show. I literally said on the show, after watching film of both these teams, I think Miami has a good chance to win, and I would have made the spread even and not +4 or +4.5 or whatever it is. And I'm being so negative. I still don't understand. God forbid I talk about the run game and what we actually saw on film. I don't know if these people are subscribers, but if you're a subscriber and you didn't like what I said about the run game, go look at the story that we wrote yesterday, okay? Because all I did was literally give you facts. You didn't like the facts. You thought the facts were too negative. You thought all 9, 10-plus runs were just the offensive line blowing everybody up and the running backs are the greatest thing since Frank Gore. I just gave you the facts. And you could have looked at the story instead of saying how negative things are. So factually, Texas A&M's defense, really good up front, not real good at the linebacker level. They got one guy, Cooper, who's pretty good, and that's about it. The secondary can be had, okay? They like to rush 4, and if they don't get pressure with those 4, they're in trouble, okay? They're in trouble. That's what they try to do. I think Miami's offensive line is good enough that they can withstand it, especially with Cam McCormick now. Cam McCormick, to me, and we have a Mario quote about him this morning talking about, we have a Mario talking about A&M story this morning. But Cam McCormick, to me, is the secret weapon in this game because he's really good as a run blocker, and he's pretty good as a pass protector, And we haven't had a tight end like that here. You name it. I mean, who was the last great blocking tight end at Miami? Richard Gordon? I mean, people don't even know who I'm talking about when I say Richard Gordon anymore. They're too young, these fans. So there's every chance that Miami will give Tyler Van Dyke time to get the ball down the field. Now, the question is if Tyler is fully healthy. If he is, he's going to make plays. And then you go to the other side of the ball. I just think this is a good matchup for Miami because you go to the other side of the ball, and Miami's defense, like you said yesterday, they should play third down every down, whatever. They play an exotic defense. There's no doubt about it. They play an exotic defense. It's nothing that Bobby Petrino hasn't seen before. Like, he's not going to be like, what is this? What's happening? I don't know how to attack it. Like, he knows exactly how to attack it. But with that said, there are going to be enough moments with Miami's defensive ends in particular, okay, and safeties, because James Williams and Cam Kinchins, they did nothing last game. They weren't asked to do anything. They're going to be very involved at the line of scrimmage and blitzing in this game, believe me. They're athletic enough and talented enough to make disruptive plays. And if your offense is getting some points on the board, all you need is a few disruptive plays on defense, a few game-changing plays on defense, and you're not only just in the game, but you can win the game. And if they win this game, and I'm telling you, it's 50-50. I'm telling you, when you watch film of these two teams, Texas A&M is not that good, okay? And Texas A&M, guess what? They won 5 games last year also. So, yeah, they have great receivers. They have a 5-star quarterback who looked really good in the opener, and he looked really good other than one game, the end of last year when he played. They have some talent on offense, but I'm telling you, this defense can be had. This Texas A&M defense can be had. And if they have the right game plan in place on both sides of the ball from the first quarter, because you can't fall behind in that first half, if they have the right game plan in place the first quarter, which we never seem to see with other coaching staffs, but maybe this one will be different, and if they take it to Texas A&M, surprise Texas A&M, get out to a 7-point, 10-point, 14-point lead, Miami will win this game. And Miami will start the season 5-0, and everybody in the country will be talking about Miami heading into North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State. And guess what? These polls we're talking about, none of these teams are that far ahead of Miami right now, except for Florida State. So, one-loss season? Are we talking about one-loss season, Gary? Are we talking about one-loss season?
I'm talking about one game at a time, Matt Shodell. I'm not jumping ahead.
This game, they could have a 1 or 2 loss season. I'm telling you.
I said weeks ago how big this game was. I
apologize to you. That's how I apologize and say I changed my mind.
Well, it's funny when you do what we do. It's always interesting to see how people interpret different things you say. Like I was looking at a comment from Mac Da Vinci 6155 in our YouTube comments yesterday, and I was talking about how I think they need to treat third down. First and second down, just like third down. Every down is third down in this game because of the way that Bobby Petrino approaches offense. So Mac Da Vinci, he took that to mean that I was saying they needed to blitz on every single play, and told me be a reporter, not the defensive coordinator. So I've been smacked into place, Mac. Thank you very much. And I am not going to be the defensive coordinator today. I'm going to be a reporter. And the reporter in me tells me just what it told me a few weeks ago, which is that this is a massive, massive football game for Miami. And you're seeing how fast your fortunes can change in college football, the way this season is already unfolding. LSU stunk it up in the first half against Florida State. They left 21 points on the field. Florida State ends up blowing them out, and now everybody's down on LSU. Looking like, Matt mentioned Clemson and their loss to Duke, where they turned the ball over and just played like absolute garbage, and then they end up losing to Duke, and now Duke's stock is on the rise. We'll see what happens there. They got some tougher games coming up, I think, later this month. One of them against Notre Dame. We'll see how they do in that one. But just very interesting to see Miami starting to climb up. I thought that was a real positive, obviously, development. So On the website today, we've talked all week about how Matt went into the lab and just, I said, Matt, listen, the game was on Friday. We got an extra day. Just lock yourself in a room for the weekend and watch a ton of film. And Matt came out of the lab with all these great stories that you're seeing on the website this week. And another one today, inside Lance Guidry's defense against Miami of Ohio. And was he holding a lot back for Texas A&M? Matt, it did look relatively vanilla to me. I think he played a lot of basic stuff. But then when you went and started watching film, you're telling me it wasn't as simple as we thought. He was doing all kinds of crazy stuff out there against Miami of Ohio. And you could just see him licking his chops when we talked to him earlier this week. He was, basically talking about how he's going to now switch things up and do some different stuff for Texas A&M. This is a guy, Matt, that loves the challenge of stopping offenses, and it seems like he has a lot of different ways of doing it.
Yeah, and I'll get into that in a minute, but one of the big mismatches that he has in his favor is his defensive ends against this Texas A&M offensive line, where they have a freshman right tackle. I think his name's Chase Basantes. I think he was once a Miami recruit, actually, but he was not good in the opener. He gave a couple of tackles for loss, a sack. He looked a little lost. There are opportunities against this offensive line for Texas A&M to make some plays. On the other side of the ball, I'll touch on that real quick. I think Miami's biggest advantages would be the Miami running backs against the Texas A&M linebackers. Okay, I think linebackers struggle to get in the gap right. If the offensive line for Miami can open some holes in the right spots, those running backs can have some big gains. And also the slot receivers against the nickels. I think that's a big advantage for Miami also. I think they intentionally didn't throw the ball to the running backs. I think we'll see some throws to the running backs and just see what they can do, because those the horizontal throws, the quick passes, that quick passing game will not work against Texas A&M. You saw New Mexico try to do it. It's not going to work. But there's going to be opportunities to get running backs out in space where they look like they're going to be, the typical thing. They look like they're going to be blocking initially, and they go out on a slip screen, whatever it is, and you get some plays out of that. All these running backs can catch the ball and run with the ball. And that's going to be a big weapon that I don't think we've seen unleashed yet. That's going to be huge because Shannon Dawson's done that in the past. He knows how to do it. They just haven't shown it. And so there's a real advantage there for Miami with its running backs. So it's really exciting to see some of the things that you see on both sides of the ball that can be done that really haven't been done. But since we did analyze the defensive film, I think they really did show a lot of what they do as a base defense. And this is, when I say base defense, for another team, right, their base defense, it's, whatever, 4-3, 2 safeties high. Like, that's just, they might run that even 10, 15% of the game, 20% of the game with a little variations here and there. Lance Guidry does not have really what I would call a base defense. People call his, I guess, what do they say? It's I think they call it a three-man front, right? Is that what they usually call it? But there's never only 3 men on the front. He will rush 3.
Right.
He will rush 3 on occasion. But we actually, so I don't want to make this too long-winded, but I went through every single defensive play and I charted when they rushed 3, when they rushed 4, when they rushed 5, when they rushed 6. I charted, did they line up with 7 people on the line, 6 or 7 people on the line of scrimmage to start a play? I charted, was there a 2 high safety look, a 1 high safety look, no safety help over the top? I charted, on what percent of plays was a defensive lineman dropping into coverage, okay? And what percent of plays was just any player that was actually rushing at the line, dropping into coverage. Like, he was lined up at the line of scrimmage at the snap, looked like he was going to possibly, blitz, rush, whatever, and he wound up running backwards trying to cover somebody. What percent of that happened, right? So as it turns out, almost half the time there was somebody at the line of scrimmage that would drop into coverage. And 33% of the time, so 1 out of every 3 plays in that game, a defensive lineman dropped into coverage. And now this is probably the most vanilla you're going to see his defense, right? Because they were winning pretty handily by halfway through the third quarter. It wasn't an offense that really does a lot of crazy things. So, this is almost as base defense as it gets. And for Lance Guidry, like for any other coordinator we're talking about this, it would be like, whoa, look what he did. Like, he threw everything at him. For Lance Guidry, this is vanilla, Like, I'm telling you, like, it's going to be nuts against Texas A&M what we're going to see, because this was just a game against a relatively easy opponent, somewhat easy opponent. Their offense was never real good. It was their defense Miami was worried about. And this is just what he does. So with that said, on 1 out of every 10 plays, the team rushed 6. 1 out of every 3 plays, the team rushed 5. Okay. which leaves about half the game where they rush 3 or 4, and they rush 3 15% of the time. Only rush 3. Okay. And on those plays, you'll see there'll be 6 people in the line of scrimmage on one of the plays, and 3 of them will drop into coverage and they'll rush 3. Things like that. He's doing it so a quarterback doesn't really know where his free space is going to be. Where's his check down? He's trying to confuse the quarterback. As I said yesterday, God forbid there's a give and take. If this was the greatest system ever, everyone would do it. The reason other people don't do it is it's very risky against really fast, talented receivers. Slot guys, you got 6 defensive linemen at the line of scrimmage, right? One of them trying to drop into a zone. Sometimes they were doing man-to-man off the line with help over the top with the defensive lineman, mind you. But a lot of times they were dropping into zone coverage. And great receivers find spots in the zone, sit down, get the ball, and make a play. It's not Eureka. He hasn't found the answer to all defenses. So anyway, then 60% of the time, 2 high safety, 40% was 1 high safety, and 0% was a no safety help. So he always had safety up over the top. So when we talk about he leaves corners on an island, yes, he does, but he had James Williams, 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. Like, I'm watching film, and I'm only counting 10 players on the screen because James Williams was off the screen. Like, Lance Guidry said, listen, I'm going to be aggressive. I'll give you a 30-yard gain. James Williams will make the tackle. I'm going to try to make you make a mistake. And if it breaks, James Williams, that's your job. And we'll give him the 20 or 30 yards to try and stop him on 3rd down. And that's what he does. And I have a feeling Texas A&M will get some of these to hit. And James Williams will have to make the tackle probably one-on-one down the field in some capacity for 30-yard gains. You know what? That's what Lance Guidry does. That's what Lance Guidry does. He stopped you 4 to 5 times on 3rd down, and he doesn't stop you for 30-yard gain. You know what? That's okay.
Matt.
No, that's what he does.
They can't give this team 30-yard gains on a regular basis. Come on, man.
I just said 4 out of 5 3rd downs he'll stop you. The 1 out of 5 will be a 30-yard gain. In other words, on a 3rd and 4, right? He does all this exotic stuff. 1 high, corners are on man-to-man. 1 corner, goes the wrong way, and the receiver breaks the right way. Whatever, the ball's there on the spot. The corner's not making that play, right? That's on James Williams or whoever's the guy 20 yards on field to make the play, Gary. Like, that's just the nature of the defense he's running. But sometimes you have to take those chances. This is what you like. You literally yesterday said this is what you wanted. He takes the chance. Instead of sitting back on 3rd and 4 and saying, listen, we're going to just try to, rush 5, and we'll have, 2 linebackers and, our 4 or 5 DBs, whatever. We'll just, we'll press the line, like whatever. Some people do that. He's going to bring pressure and drop defensive linemen in coverage and see what you do. And hopefully it confuses the heck out of you and you make a mistake. And if you don't make a mistake, he's got James Williams as your safety net. That's what he did. That's what he did in this game. Will it be different in A&M? Maybe, but that's what I clearly saw on the film from this game. And if you watch the film, you'll see it too, Gary.
Well, I mean, yes, I love the idea of being aggressive, and I love the idea of mixing it up. I don't love the idea of not being sound and giving up 30-yard plays. So that is certainly not
a safety net for if it breaks down. If players make mistakes here, I hate to tell you, not every player is perfect. When Lance Guidry draws up the play, of course it's perfect because the corner is covering this receiver. This corner is covering that receiver. They're not supposed to get open, right?
No
James
doubt.
Williams is a safety net. If that breaks down, if the corner does something wrong with his technique, if the defensive lineman drops into the wrong spot, if the receiver just happens to find the gap in the zone and the lineman's not in the quarterback's face where the quarterback can get the ball to that spot, James Williams is the safety net. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right. Well, in the Miami of Ohio game, one of the stats that I saw in your story that I thought was interesting, on 42.9% of the plays, the team rushed four guys, which I think that's going to be higher in this game, and I think it needs to be higher. I don't think almost half the time can you rush 4 against Bobby Petrino and his Texas A&M offense. Like, that's what I think will lead to them getting carved up. 32.7% of the plays they rush 5. I'm expecting that to be reversed on Saturday. I think on most plays they will be bringing 5 guys and looking to disrupt the rhythm and timing of the offense and the quarterback. That's what makes total sense to me. You pointed out that 10.2% of the time they rush 6. Now, when you're rushing 6, Now you're leaving yourself open to big plays that you don't want, and Texas A&M might be a little explosive to rush 6 on a regular basis, but I am expecting almost every play from somewhere 5 guys to be coming. I don't think you could sit in your base 4-man rush and stop these guys on offense. I don't know that Miami's talent on defense is good enough for that. This is a big Lance Guidry game. I sense that he knows it from when we talked to him on Monday. You could just see he knows that this is a big boy chess match that he's going to have on Saturday. And this is his proving ground. I mean, let's face it, not a lot of people know who Lance Guidry is out there. He's toiled in relative anonymity throughout his career to this point. Well, now this Louisiana boy gets to show his chops on national television against Texas A&M, Bobby Petrino. And just like I said, it's a big game for Miami. Matt, this is a big game for Lance Guidry, too.
Yeah, I said that yesterday. You know, he's been passed over for jobs before. This is his first real opportunity with a major Power 5 team, a Power 5 team period, actually. And this is his told you so moment, you know. Again, this is a defensive scheme that can scare head coaches because it's not something that most people run. It's not like the triple option on offense. It's not like out there where nobody has done stuff like this. He just consistently does it. And when you say he's got a rush 5, you know, remember, against a mobile quarterback, there can be a danger to rushing too many guys and not having a second-level defender. I think what they're actually going to do is rush 4 a lot with exotic looks where they show up 7 at the line. You know, it might be an overload rush on this side, but I think they're going to have somebody spying or at least a few yards behind the line of scrimmage, behind where the line is, to keep an eye on the quarterback, you know, whether that's just a zone cover thing where they're going to have to read and react if the quarterback scrambles. I mean, that's a real concern in this game. And there's a lot of avenues for Texas A&M to score points, you know. So the good news is you don't want a defense that's just going to sit back and say you have to move the ball down the field, right? The old bend but don't break. That will never work against this kind of offense. This kind of offense is too good. So you do want a Lance Guidry kind of defense because maybe there's a chance, you know, a regular defense. Texas A&M's going to score 30-plus points against a regular defense. Maybe this defense will hold them to 21 or fewer. It also might give up 50 or more. Like, we're going to find out because, again, I keep telling people this. I don't want to listen to it, but we don't know. Lance Guidry has not been tested by this kind of athlete versus his defensive scheme before. Against average to not average quarterbacks, against receivers who can't get open, either of those combinations, either one. If it's a quarterback who's not great or receivers that aren't getting open, his defense is amazing. His defense is amazing because the quarterback will not have time to wait for his receiver to get open. He has to hit the ball quick. He doesn't have accuracy. He's in big trouble. You know, this defense trying to get him taking chances.
He did go against teams like Notre Dame at Marshall.
There's a lot of static on your line. Is that is Bobby Petrino hacking your microphone?
I hope not. But what I was saying was I think that you have to note that he did go against Notre Dame last year when he was at Marshall.
Oh my God, you sound like Darth Vader. You do.
I don't know why.
I'm not your father, but you do sound like Darth Vader.
Will you talk?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking the whole show. What else do you want me to talk about? Oh, that's better. Now you're on mute. How do you put yourself on mute and not even realize it? That's an amazing talent.
No, you know what?
Oh, now your microphone's fixed.
I did not put myself on mute. That was the system that put me on mute.
Oh, now your microphone's much better again.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yeah, maybe they heard you say Grey's Anatomy one too many times yesterday, or Gary's Anatomy. Gary's Anatomy, and they're like, we're shutting this guy's microphone off. This is disgusting, even thinking about Gary's Anatomy, and they just shut your microphone off.
Crazy. But no, what I was saying was it's not like he's never gone against a real team. Like he did go against Notre Dame last year when he was at Marshall. But he hasn't really done it on this kind of stage, a nationally televised game that's going to be getting a lot of eyeballs. It's one of the, you know, it's one of the better games this week. It's prime time, 3:30 slot on ABC, and people love to watch Miami. They're like, let's be honest, Miami's a TV draw, and this is an interesting matchup this week. The line has been set relatively competitive, so you're going to have a lot of the gamblers betting on this game and watching this game, and this is a moment for Lance Guidry. This is a chance for him to make a statement about what he can get done. So anyway,
and by the way, let's not use Notre Dame as the benchmark for what he's accomplished, because Notre Dame was the 97th passing offense in the country last year when they played him, and they actually got more passing yards that game than they averaged for the whole season. Okay, so like let's get rid of Notre Dame as the basis for, oh yeah, he's already played a top offense. That was not a top offense. Was it a top team with top talent? Yeah, but it was not a top offense. It was not a top quarterback. And clearly what I said, for those that were listening, is top-level quarterback, top-level receivers. It's going to be interesting to see, because I can't find a case where he's gone against that and succeeded, in shutting him down. So we'll see. Not that he can't. It's just he was in he was in lower conferences. I mean, it is what it is.
Fair enough. All right. Other stuff we have on the website. We had a lot of coverage on a big basketball commit yesterday. It's football season. We're not paying a ton of attention to basketball, but this was a huge commitment from combo guard Austin Schwartz. He's one of the top 10 guards in the country, and great job by Jim Larinaga and his staff recruiting this guy. And this was a very strong commitment for Miami basketball that they are hoping will now propel them to greater heights in recruiting this year. They're really just getting going. They got some visits coming up this weekend and stuff. So huge commitment of Austin Schwartz. Check him out. Check out his highlights. That's a name that we think you're going to be hearing a lot over the next 3 or 4 years in the Miami basketball program. There's also a story on the website with more conversation by Mario Cristobal talking about Texas A&M. I didn't mean to skip over that, but you guys could check that out as well. Okay, and as always, we have recruiting coverage. And Matt, I thought I got a real kick out of Judd Anderson. He's the Miami quarterback commit in this class, and we talked about him a week or so ago, how he had struggled in his opening game, and there was a lot of talk on the internet about Judd Anderson. Oh, he's not so great. Oh, his stats weren't good. Oh, he really struggled his opening game. Well, we pointed out on this show that the reason he struggled in his opening game was his offensive line was a horror show. They had to take him out of the game so he wouldn't get killed. So what does Judd Anderson do, Matt? He switches high schools after the first week of the season. And we've got a story on that on the website today. He has gone over to Warner Robins, Georgia, 2 games into his senior year. And he made his debut for them last week, and he threw for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2 quarters of play in their 39-35 win over Northside. So, very, very interesting that Judd Anderson has switched schools. And Matt, we've seen transfers a lot, obviously, in the high school game for many years now. I can't remember, even Jake Garcia didn't change high schools. He was the pro at changing high schools every year and looking for the best place for him to showcase his talents. But 2 games into the season, this is unique.
That is what Jake Garcia did. He was like ineligible at one school, so he went to another.
That's right. When he moved from California to Georgia.
Yeah, but anyway, so he went to 2 schools in Georgia. But anyway, look, the transfer portal is open in high school. Period. Like, there's no dates. The NCAA, I don't understand these dates. The NCAA sets these crazy dates. It's not like, it's like yogurt shouldn't expire, right? Yogurt, I don't understand why it expires. It's just like, what is it like? It's just fungus. Does fungus expire? Like, if you're going to eat fungus, eat fungus. It shouldn't expire. The transfer portal shouldn't expire. It's just be open 365 days a year, 366 days a year on leap year. And that's what you should be able to do. So congratulations, Judd Anderson. If I was Judd Anderson, I'd transfer schools every single week just to show the NCAA what they should be doing correctly, because it's the NCAA rule with you have 1 month here and 1 month there is ridiculous.
I think it's great that a high school can need a quarterback and just go out and get this really high quality quarterback from the area to just move across town and come quarterback their football team. Amazing what high school football has become, and how football takes precedence over everything else with a lot of these guys who are football players as they try to carve their path to the next level. And now with NIL, obviously there's so much at stake, even in high school, that, you really can't blame these kids for seeking out the best opportunity for themselves. We also have an update today on Westlake Village, California, 2025 receiver Jalen Moore who is continuing to develop a relationship with the Miami program. You could check out where the Canes stand there. If you missed CaneSport Live last night, we've got that show on the website. You can watch the replay of that. Do not miss the Lamar Thomas show tonight. It's going to be a good one. Lamar coached under Bobby Petrino a few years back at Louisville, and will bring incredible insight to us on what type of offenses Bobby Petrino likes to run, what type of plays he likes to call, how he conducts himself during a game. If you watch the Lamar Thomas show tonight, you will be loaded up with knowledge that will enhance what you're seeing on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium.
Speaking of knowledge, I didn't mean fungus. I meant bacteria. Yogurt is bacteria. Bacteria doesn't die. Bacteria was the founding blocks of life on the earth. I might have made that up also, but continue. Sorry to interrupt your how wonderful this show is going to be tonight.
Thank you for that great piece of information. All right, well, that's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport for today. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. If you like this show, like this channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. Helps us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please hustle on over to our website. We got a big Cane special this week. 50% off your annual subscription to let you come into our CaneSport.com community, make some new friends. Everybody has a great time every day on the message boards, and hopefully we do our job, which is to enhance your fan experience every single day. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you once again. We'll see you next time, everybody.